Okay, how's it going, guys? Tyler Solberg with Solberg Performance Training, and today I'm going to make a little pasta salad for you guys. A lot of this stuff I've kind of prepared in advance, so just to eliminate the length of the video. But what I got going on here is just a little bit of pasta that I made, just about a pound of shrimp, and then about 12 ounces of cherry tomatoes. I'm going to make a little basil pesto. I think that this is a really nice thing to have just around for any type of dish for summer. You could do this with sandwiches, you could do this with pasta, you could do this as a topper if you're making soup like minestrone or anything like that. But it's very simple, it's just 4 ingredients, and then we'll start building the salad. But if you guys have any questions when we're doing this, I'm really just doing this as a way to get clients a little bit more experience in the kitchen, help them build kitchen skills, because I realize there's only so much you can do with just giving someone a recipe. And at some point you just got to actually have them doing things in the kitchen and getting experience. So I'm just going to start with the basil pesto, and then we'll build our pasta salad from there. But this is one of my favorite pasta salads to make. Just a very, very basic shrimp, tomato, and basil pesto pasta, but very good, and I'm going to just get going on the pesto now. So I'm just going to go in with about 2 cups of basil in here. So this is just some basil that I got at farmer's market the other day, so looking good. So I'll get that packed in there, and then just make sure too when you're doing this, basil stems are really nice when you're building a pasta sauce. Not so much when you're building a pesto, so just keep that in mind. So you want to make sure that you're not putting a ton of stems in there when you're doing that. So that goes in. We got about ½ a cup of Parmesan. Another thing too, depending on how big your food processor is, try to make sure that you spread these ingredients out. It's just going to be a little bit easier for you to blend them up when you use the processor. And then I'm just going in with 2 tablespoons of, and you can really do what you want in this too. But these are pine nuts. People also use walnuts and cashews in doing pesto, so it's really up to your flavor preferences. And then I'm just going with a little bit of garlic. Now, I see all the time that people make these jokes about adding garlic to dishes, and they go like, okay, you know, if it calls for 2 tablespoons of garlic or 2 cloves of garlic, I'm going to go in with 6. Now, I tell you, when you're doing this with basil pesto, I would really be careful about doing that, because this is raw garlic you're putting in there. If you're roasting your garlic, that's one thing, but you're going to want some really nice minced garlic when you're going into the pesto, because you don't want that raw garlic taste to just kind of overwhelm some of the more subtle flavors like the Parmesan and pine nuts and basil. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. If you see the ingredients listed in the post that I make with this afterwards, just don't go crazy with the garlic, because you might regret it and waste a bit of pesto there. Okay, so we're just going in with the garlic, again, just spreading it out. And then when you're doing this, I have a ton of different bench scrapers. I have, you know, a metal one for doing pasta, keep it from sticking to the surface. But I really like these little ones that I got from my KitchenAid that I have. These are really nice when you're doing pestos, and you know, maybe if you're making a homemade like froyo or something like that, they're really nice for scraping off the sides. Just, you know, different bits of it don't get processed right away. These are really great for scraping that off. So I'm just going to get the pesto going here, and this is going to take a little bit of time too. When you first start doing this, it'll look a little bit grainy. You're going to have to, like I said, kind of scrape around with either a spoon or a bench scraper a few times to get this to the exact texture you like. But it'll come together in about, you know, a minute or so. So I'm just going to blend this up and actually screw it in so that it will blend. So this is kind of what I was talking about. Before I keep going, you can see it's kind of grainy. Oh, I just realized I didn't add the olive oil. Let's do that. Need a ½ a cup of, it's very grainy because there's no olive oil in it. Half a cup of olive oil will work. Actually, it'll be easier to put in too because it's a little blended. Lots of olive oil. I always laugh. I can't remember who the person is like the half-baked harvest girl. I always laugh when I watch her recipes because I love olive oil, don't get me wrong, but I always laugh because there's just always like a quart of olive oil in everything she makes, and it's all really good. I have one of her cookbooks, it's delicious, but I always laugh because I have to look at it through the lens of, you know, 3 different things, right? As a strength coach, as a nutrition coach, and then as someone now that's kind of trying to do some of this cooking stuff. It's like, well, it's a lot of olive oil. Okay, so I'm just going to keep blending this up, but I was showing you guys before it starts a little bit grainy, and then it kind of turns more into a paste. And you can pulse it too. It's really the consistency you like. I'm putting this in a pasta salad, so this is going to be, I like it a little bit more liquidy for that. Okay, just going to working this stuff off the sides. Going again. And you blend this up as much as you want to for your texture preferences. All right. That is looking good. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of show you guys my pesto here before I get it in the bowl. Kind of what I'm working with, the kind of consistency I'm looking for. So as you can see, you know, because it's a processor, you're not going to get all the tiny bits of garlic. So make sure you chop them nice and fine, so that has a nice paste like this. But that is the pesto base, and so I'll just get that worked into the pasta salad now. So I'm just going in with my pasta first. This is what I made the other day and cooled it down. This is really nice and refreshing for, you know, if you're doing like a picnic or a grill out in the summer and you need something to bring along with that's pretty easy to make. This is a really nice salad for that. So I'm just going with a pound of pasta, going with a pound of shrimp, and then I got my pound of cherry tomatoes here. And then I'm just going to start working in that pesto as well. Hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend. Everybody's not too hungover, my Wisconsin people talking to you. And I like this recipe too because if you're using, you know, like a nutrition coaching model or anything like that, you can always adjust the portions of this too. So if you were trying to cut out fats, you know, some extra fats throughout the week, you'd always use less pesto. You could use, you know, if you're trying to increase the protein intake, you can put in more shrimp. If you want to decrease your carbohydrate intake, you can always decrease the amount of pasta you have in the dish, but it's really, really nice and adjustable that way. So I'm just going to grab a spatula here and get it mixed up. Yeah, I'm pretty excited at what I have put together for my new nutrition coaching feature that I have in there. I'd like to be able to offer more specific nutrition coaching advice. So when I give you the macros and when I give you the calorie intake and when I give you the hand portions and things like that, I'd love to be able to just have you know, some cooking resources alongside. I've basically spent, you know, the last few months just building a cookbook on Canva, and I've been doing, you know, breakfast, lunches, and dinners. I've been doing snacks, pre and post workout fueling, things whether that's shooters or snacks or even intra-workout fueling recipes as well, and then just some beverage stuff. But yeah, I'd like to be able to provide that as a resource with everybody I work with. I notice most of the time people have body composition goals when they start working with me or performance goals. And man, I mean, you got to have good nutrition when you're going after some of those things. So I think it's really important that people have access to, you know, easy recipes that they can make at home, but they also they have the videos too. Like I reference this in my other videos I was making when I first was starting to teach myself how to cook a few years ago. You know, I felt like when I would watch the reels, it's nice and it's shiny and you know, as cool as they looked, it was really hard to follow. You know, it was really hard. You had to sit there and kind of watch a reel 100 times over to make a recipe. And I really just wanted to make some some videos of me just going beginning to end for clients that, you know, maybe need a little bit more attention and wanted to kind of hang out in the kitchen while we're making these things. So this is what I'm doing for that. I'll show you the pasta salad I made now. So that's done, nice and tossed up. But that is what it looks like. I'll get this in a bowl here so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so there it is. And then I'll make sure when I get done with this too, that I'll share both the basil pesto recipe and then obviously the recipe for the sauteed shrimp and then making the pasta salad. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching today. I'm going to get over to one of my clients' houses now because I got to get them ready to go on an RV trip across the western United States, and I got to get their RV all souped up with equipment. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and then if you have any questions, I'll check that quick. But thanks for watching, and you guys have a great